Welcome to Daily Driven TV. I'm Dean Donovan, your host. I'm going to be guiding you through our garage. And by the way, welcome to our garage. So you can see our '05 Civic that we're working on here. You can see the '08 Tundra in the background. The '05 Corolla is not here right now. This episode, we're going to be talking about the AF Dynamic Air Intake System we got for that '08 Tundra the other day. Now, first off, you got to remember, air intakes are important. A lot of people don't see the value in them because they're like, oh, the manufacturer makes them perform the way they should. They do make them perform the way they want them to, but they don't make them perform how they can. There's more that those vehicles can do, and you know that. Now, the vehicle we got, the intake we got is from, like I said, AF Dynamics. It's a cold air intake. It comes with everything you need as far as hardware, hoses, instructions, tubing, everything. It's a beautiful kit, really well made. Now, the whole point of doing this is to get more airflow because these air filters they include are horrible. To give you the best way of understanding how bad these air filters are, take a piece of paper and try and breathe through it. Doesn't work very well. Take a t-shirt over your mouth, you can breathe pretty clearly and it filters. So, that's the same idea. You got a paper filter in front of your vehicle's mouth essentially. So, cotton filters are the way to go. Foam filters work as well, but anything to get the paper out there and get less restriction. Now, one problem you're going to see a lot of people here in California are having trouble finding carb legal intakes now. And that's because some time ago there was an added filter added to a lot of vehicles. See this thing, it's in the top of the airbox. That's not the actual filter, that's an additional filter. The air inlet goes through this, a secondary filter. So you have the air intake coming through the bottom of the box, through the other filter, into this filter, and then through the intake. Since it doesn't have this secondary filter, they won't carb legalize it. So what's that mean? That means I'm going to have to keep this intake system, and when it comes time to get a smog on the truck, I'm going to have to swap this back in. Yes, it's annoying, but it is what it is. So with that being said, make sure you hold on to your box from the aftermarket and know where you keep it. So I'd love to have parts out here to show you, but they're already installed on the truck because we've been testing it for a couple days. I gotta say, it woke the truck up. The tires spin a lot easier now. We're using the seat of our ass dyno. More power for sure. It's more responsive, and you get that nice throaty intake sound that we've all come to love from intakes, if you like them. Now, a few things about this intake. It does come with very detailed instructions. It's a 3-page instruction sheet. I have one of the 3 pages right here with me. You can see a lot of information, a lot of pictures, and then there's a 3rd page. Now, they give you a full visual assembly of the intake on how to install it. And if you look here, you see a heat shield, you see the tube, you see the rubber seal, you see rubber seal, you see the filter, and all the miscellaneous hardware to get the install done, right? Well, here's the thing. The heat shield they show is one piece, and that there doesn't show anything about assembly right here. Well, unfortunately, that's incorrect. There's actually 3 small Phillips bolts. You have to assemble those, but there's no step here telling you how to do it. The nice thing, they include a list of tools you're going to need. You see you have ratchet, extension, 10mm socket, flat blade Phillips, 5/16, 5/8, and pliers. Okay, I have all those ready to go. The problem is, you know which tools I ended up using? I used a ratchet, an extension, a 3/8, and a 10mm socket, set of Allen keys, Allen keys, which weren't listed on there, a Phillips screwdriver, a flat blade. So they asked us to use wrenches, a 5/8 and a 5/16, whatever the other number was, and there's not a spot in there for them. So why are they telling us to use these? That's mind-boggling to me. I actually had to add a 10mm wrench for a backside of it. Then on top of that, they give you this rubber seal to go on top, actually all the way around that air box. All the way around. And you see, it's just a simple channel system. You know, it wedges on the metal and it pinches down to give that seal. So they give you enough to go around the entire box, and then a piece like this goes around the inside of the opening where the filter goes. Okay, fair enough. These are not the easiest thing to cut. They got metal in them. You know, you're sitting there like, oh, how am I going to cut this? So you have another tool they need to include. Tin snips, dikes, some kind of cutting tool to cut this seal. Because, yeah, you can use a knife on this part. You get through that metal, you're going to need a set of tin snips such as these. So you can just cut it clean. But nonetheless, they do a fairly well job of explaining how to do the installation. There's one step in the installation that was a little confusing. I don't remember what number it was, unfortunately. But it does, oh, here it is, number 16. It says, remove the bolt that retains the ground strap to the inner fender. So something about this tells me that this was done on a previous model truck or an early model, because this '08 doesn't have that ground strap. Okay, so you're looking all over for a ground strap and there's nothing there. So an amendment would be nice that not all vehicles will have this. Obviously, you don't want to spend too much time fretting over it, but we are able to make it work. The other thing, it comes with heat shields to add to the airbox. Yeah, it's great. You know, let's keep it as cold as possible around the filter. This seems like a waste of time to me. It looks like overblown Dynamat. It's a foam pad with foil on it, okay? By the time the air is passing through that filter, it's going to be cold enough anyways. Putting the rubber seal around it, putting this on the air intake box, I don't feel it's going to help it any. I could be wrong, but in my 15 years working in the automotive industry, I have never seen a cold air box make that much of a difference. Okay? Cold air boxes to me are to stabilize and mount the intake. It gives a finished look. So, AF Dynamics, I'm not saying anything against your product. I love the product, actually. I give it an 8 out of 10. However, this isn't needed, and there's no step in the instructions telling you to do it. So if you're going to include a part, make sure they know what they're for. That's all I got to say on that. Now, I would have the truck in here, and I would go through the installation with you step by step. However, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, the top of the truck is a little higher than the roof of the garage, so we can't get it in our garage, and it's a bit dark out there. But I will make sure to update you, show you what you're missing. I got a lot of photos when we did the install. We'll splice in here to make sure you get exactly what you need. So, the reason for the 8 out of 10. One, it's not carb legal, so that knocks it down a point. Because that means I'm going to have to pull that intake off, put the factory back on, and smog it. If it was carb legal, I could toss this factory stuff. And that's less things I have to store in my garage. As you can see, my garage is already a little on the clustered side. So, that's the first point. Second point, instructions and parts being inaccurate. Okay? There's additional parts that weren't needed. There's tools that they didn't list you needed, and tools they listed that you don't need. Beyond that, the hardware was wrong. It says it's a 10 millimeter. It's a 3/8. It doesn't describe what the spacers are for specifically. And then beyond that, it adds hardware to the airbox and doesn't list it. Okay? So, and then to add that you need a Allen key, because this is what the screws they provide to put your mass air sensor back on are a socket head cap screw for Allens. They don't mention this anywhere, so you're like, huh, I need to add those. So AF Dynamics, really wonderful product. You got it. The intake tube is 4 inches in diameter. That's a massive air intake. It's powder coated with a wrinkle finish. It's got a nice finish. Fit is perfect. Silicone hub that goes to the throttle body is beautiful. It's a reducer at a 90 degree from a 4 inch to a 3 inch to fit perfectly. The mount that holds the intake in place with the airbox, everything fits flush. There's no like, oh my god, it doesn't fit. Oh, how's it go? It's intuitive, so that works really well. I'm really happy with it. But those are my 2 points that would knock it down. It is a dry filter. It's a cotton filter, but there's no oil on it. Now, you can swap an oil one on there if you want. A lot of these trucks with the mass air sensors, you may not want to add too heavy of an oil, because if you get oil coming through that filter too easily, you're going to bog up that mass air sensor and you could cause other problems. So, what I plan to do is probably run this till it goes out, and then I'll probably put like a dry flow from AEM on it. So, it's a foam, but it's still dry. Now, like I said, 8 out of 10, well worth the purchase. You can check it out. You can get it on eBay for about 160 bucks. They usually ship with 1 day to Southern California because they're based here in Southern California. The name is AF Dynamics. You can check them out on Instagram at AF Dynamics. They're pretty responsive. I tagged them in a photo of the install. They liked it pretty quick. So that was pretty nice of them. I want to thank them for that. All in all, I'm really happy with the product. I'm glad we put it on the truck because there's not many for that 4.7 out there. But with upcoming projects, if you follow our Instagram, which is at daily_driven_TV. Yes, that's at daily_driven_TV. Sorry, I want to make sure you saw Daily Driven TV in the name and any other way it was taken. So if you follow our Instagram, you'll see today I posted a photo of a bunch of LED light bulbs that came in. We got a pack of 20 on eBay for about, I think it was like $8 total with shipping. Came from New Jersey, took about 2 days. And you know what? We already put them in the truck, and I put a photo on our Instagram about how bright they are. And my God, it makes a huge difference on that truck. The other thing we've done, you've seen on there, we've been doing headlight work. We got a set of projector headlights. These new beautiful projector headlights are really popular right now. Gives that nice clean look. The problem we've been having is this light keeps going out. Okay? And we've determined it maybe just be the bulb and the vibration. We've actually got a set of LED bulbs coming to replace those. So once we get those, we'll do an install video on those. So that's some upcoming projects. Now we have a constant line of projects coming up. We've got projects on this 05 Civic behind me. We've got some door handles to do, maintenance to do, stuff like that. We got a Toyota Corolla we got to do some brakes on. We're going to do a stereo in it. All these things are upcoming, and we'll be doing a lot more work on them. If there's a project you're interested in, if there's a question you have, make sure you put it in the comments. Make sure you comment on Instagram. Believe me, we want to hear from you. Now, the other thing is we just not recently, but we have wonderful little contour cameras. So in the future, we are going to be recording the actual installation on the vehicle so you can see it and get a bird's eye view while I'm working. So keep tuned in for that, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you hit that like button somewhere in this area usually, depending on what platform you're looking at. Subscribe so you get our updates as quick as possible. And again, I want to thank you for tuning in and being part of our community. It's your vehicle. You make it daily driven.